We are going to do something a little different, a little out of our element. We've got some sports news to report. The Cleveland Indians are announcing a name change. I'll read a little bit from this statement that they released today, saying in part, quote, "We've decided to move forward with changing the current team name and determining a new non-Native American based name for the franchise. We believe our organization is at its best when we can unify our community and bring people together, and we believe a new name will allow us to do this more fully." The president himself coming out today and saying, "Oh no, what is going on? This is not good news, even for, quote, Indians. Cancel culture at work." So this is the latest that we have right now from the organization, but we had a conversation. Our very own Andrew Kraft spoke with Cleveland.com sports reporter Joe Noga about the historic move and what this means going forward for professional sports here in the United States. Also, how are fans reacting, all those diehard Cleveland Indian fans? That's all a part of this conversation. We'll play it out for you here on News Now from Fox.
I'm being joined by Joe Noga. He's a sports reporter at Cleveland.com to kind of break down this big story that broke yesterday about the Cleveland Indians Major League Baseball team announcing a name change imminently. Joe, what can you tell us about this story, and did you expect it yourself, having covered sports in Cleveland?
Well, I didn't think in my 44 years of being a Clevelander that the Indians would change their name anytime soon, but I guess you could have seen this coming. It's been years, ever since the team moved into the ballpark at the corner of Carnegie and Ontario. There have been protests every year on opening day with Native American groups and Indigenous peoples protesting the name and the Chief Wahoo mascot. More recently, going back to the team's appearance in the 2016 World Series. At that time, baseball's commissioner, Rob Manfred, took the opportunity to sort of pressure the club into getting rid of the Chief Wahoo mascot and setting them on this path to a potential name change. He dangled the carrot. He gave them the opportunity to have the 2019 All-Star game here in Cleveland. And as big of a financial and regional motivator as that was, they couldn't pass that up. So the commissioner and owner Paul Dolan said there was no quid pro quo, but really, if you look at it on its face, Chief Wahoo was gone by the 2018 season, and now heading into the 2021 season, the Indians are heading towards a name change.
And Joe, for a major league team of any sport, institutionally, what goes in to a name change? It seems like such a heavy lift from an operational standpoint. When can fans expect this to go into effect?
Well, really, it's been heading that direction for a long time. If you go into the ballpark at Progressive Field right now, there is no Native American imagery or logos anywhere within the park. The last sort of bastion of that was the Chief Wahoo patch on the sleeves of the players on the field back in 2018, but even that's gone now. So the Block C logo is the primary logo that's everywhere in the park. It's been phased out in that really the only the Indians sort of script Indians above the scoreboard in left field is there. That's going to have to be taken down and changed once they decide on a new name. But it's a long process that involves community stakeholders, the city, uniform manufacturers, marketing, sales, and all that. It's a long, complicated process. The team laid out in their statement this afternoon, they said this is the first step, is making the decision to move forward with it. The process is a long one. It could take more than a year, who knows? But right now they don't have a choice in terms of what the name will be. They just know that after the 2021 season, it will not be Indians.
And Joe, do you know kind of how the process works out? Is it solely based on the discretion of the team owner, or do they have to consult with the league itself when they make an announcement like this? Or is it just, unilateral? Dolan can say he just doesn't want the name Indians to be on the team anymore. Can you kind of walk us maybe into those discussions?
Well, I think, yeah, the answer to that, the simple answer is yes. Paul Dolan could tomorrow wake up and say, okay, the name is not Indians, it's this, and let's put into to process the steps you need to take to make the change happen by the 2022 season. Paul Dolan isn't Daniel Snyder from the Washington football team. He doesn't wake up in the morning and say, well, my decision is the only one that matters here. I'm going to, put my foot down and this is it. Dan Snyder, a little bit more ego involved in something like that. So I think Paul Dolan took the right approach in consulting over a long period of time. This has been since June or July that they've been consulting with Native American groups, city stakeholders, community folks, and just really what the impact of a name change is going to be in Cleveland. They wanted to get all of that information before they definitively made the announcement.
Have you been talking to fans there in the Cleveland area, getting their reaction about this announcement? If you have, were they surprised or did they see this coming?
We do talk to fans. I communicate with fans a lot. I get emails constantly since this story first came out. Back around the July 3rd was when they made the announcement following the Washington football team's announcement that they were going to pursue a name change. I've gotten a steady stream of emails with suggestions about new names. That's a popular thing, is to throw their ideas out there. A lot of, I would say it's 50-50. There are people who support the idea of changing the name, and then there are people who are really just holding on to the idea of, I grew up with Indians, I grew up with Chief Wahoo, why are they changing this? Why is this happening? And there is a sense of frustration in that regard. But for every one of those emails, I get a response or a text. I'll get support from fans saying, this was the right call. It's time to make a change.
Now the discussion will ultimately turn to, what will the new name be? I mean, and can you kind of give us a sense of, what that process will look like? Will they take ideas from the public? Because as you know, you referenced the former Washington Redskins, the NFL team, who now just go by the Washington football team because they don't have a new name yet. Can you kind of go into that? Do people have ideas right now about a new name?
So far on the record, Dolan has only committed to the name will not be Tribe, which is a shorthand reference that local Clevelanders use. We refer to the Tribe. I'm going to the Tribe game. How'd the Tribe do tonight? In referencing the Indians. There will be no Native American attachment to any sort of decision on a new name moving forward. So Tribe is out, and he did say that there will be no interim name, like you referenced with the Washington football team. So they won't be known as the Cleveland baseball team. That won't be the case. When they make a decision after this 2021 season, it will be a new name. As far as popular suggestions, a lot of folks want to see the Spiders as a potential one. Rockers, I've heard Cleveland Rocks. I've heard even using names like Larry Doby or Bob Feller as throwbacks, the Dobies, as the Indians were the team that had Larry Doby integrate the American League shortly after Jackie Robinson.
And Joe, just lastly for you, this could be a domino effect. I know you cover sports just in the Cleveland area, but let's take it nationally a little bit. We saw the Washington Redskins drop that name. Now the Cleveland Indians. There are a number of other pro sports teams in the U.S. That have mascots that are associated derogatorily with Native American iconography. So do you expect this is kind of a domino effect and other teams will make those same decisions that the Indians have done?
Well, I want to make a distinction between what Washington did and what Cleveland is doing. Washington did what they did because they were pressured into doing so by FedEx and their corporate sponsors who have their names on the stadium. Money is a very, very motivating factor in that regard. The Indians, the times were changing, and they sort of took a proactive approach. No one's pressuring, no corporate sponsors were pressuring the Dolans to do this. It's taken 105 years of being the Indians for them to sort of realize and catch up. but they're doing this of their own accord. Do I think the Chiefs or the Braves will also follow suit? I can't speak for any of those guys. I know the ownership in those regards, it's different than Paul Dolan. I think he's making a hard decision here. He's making the right decision as far as I'm concerned. And I'd like to see those teams follow suit. I don't know if there's going to be the same kind of pressure that was applied to the Redskins at the time, and I don't know if the times will be changed enough by those other franchises to sort of want to catch up.
All right. Well, Joe, we thank you so much for joining us here on News Now from Fox. That's Joe Noga. He's a sports reporter for Cleveland.com. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Well, just a great conversation right there from Andrew Kraft and Joe talking about this name change situation. And in just a moment, I'm going to give you an update from Georgia about the election out there. But to kind of put those two stories together, there was actually a joint statement that came out today from Senators Loeffler and Perdue talking about any effort to rename the Atlanta Braves. And they said, quote, "We adamantly oppose any effort to rename the Atlanta Braves, one of our state's most storied and successful sports franchises. Not only are the Braves a Georgia institution with a history spanning 54 years in Atlanta, they're an American institution. The Braves name honors our nation's Native American heritage, which should not be erased, and under no circumstances should one of the most celebrated teams in sports cave to the demands of the cancel culture and the radical left." A similar statement that President Trump also put out today in that tweet that I just showed you. If you don't know, Senator Loeffler and Senator Perdue are both running for Georgia Senate out there. This is a competition to gain control of the Senate.